So here we are going to revise for test B. And to do so, we're going to start with the course that we are studying called Fundamentals of Statistics. And you know, for any course that you are studying, you first need to have a topic. For example, Math 121B students. So the richest question is, what is the mean score in test A? And mean here means the population mean, and the symbol is mu. So there are two hypotheses. One is the null and one is the alternative. The null happens to be the claim. It says the mean score is 75%. And the alternative is saying, well, no, the mean score is not 75%. And that is the HA. And here you have the symbolic translation. The null, the mean, the population mean is equal to 75. And the alternative, the population mean is not equal to 75. So the objective now is to determine the mean score. So we must collect the data, but when we look at the data collected, we still cannot answer the research question. We don't know the mean. Just by looking at the data, we cannot say what the mean is. So we've got to organize the data. Organize it meaning putting it in tables. But just by looking at the data in tables, we still cannot determine what is the mean. So we've got to represent the data by putting it in diagrams and charts. But by putting it in diagrams and charts, we still cannot determine what is the mean. So we have to analyze. We have to calculate descriptive measures called statistics, and there is a list of them: the sample mean, the sample median, the range, the mode, the interquartile range, the sample variance, the sample standard deviation, the Spearman's correlation, Pearson's correlation. Here you have the symbols for the popular one. But bear in mind, we are to determine the mean. So out of all of these descriptive measures is the mean that we have to calculate for this problem. So from the data collected, we're going to calculate a sample mean. And here is a symbol for it. So let's say you calculate the sample mean and you got 82%. Clearly, when you compare 82% with what the null is saying, the null is saying 75%. There is a big difference. There's a significant difference. So you've got to reject. The decision is to reject the null hypothesis. And since you rejected the null hypothesis, your conclusion will be the alternative. It will be saying, based on the data, the population mean is not 75%. So therefore now, as you can see, the worksheet B now is to learn about hypothesis, is to learn about analysis of data. Okay, and we use worksheet B for that, which is due in week 6. And we are in week 6. And then after now, this is followed by a test B. As you can see in the guidelines, there's a guideline available. Test B is due on the 23rd of October, 2024. And here is the guideline for it. You need to know from definition of descriptive measures to calculating Pearson's product moment. And as you can see in the guideline, there is sufficient information to guide you. For example, to learn about descriptive measure, you got to go to number 1, part F in worksheet B. Okay. Worksheet B, number 1, part F. To learn about the difference between statistics and parameter, you've got to go to number 1, part E. To learn about the identification of measures of central tendencies, you got to go to number 4 and 5 in worksheet B. To appreciate the visual analysis of a scatter plot, you go to the weekly notes number 3, page 16. to perform a visual analysis of the variability or dispersion of a data set. Worksheet B, numbers 4 and 5. And you can also go to weekly notes 4 and 5. You need to know how to complete a pair of hypotheses. Compare the null hypothesis to the descriptive measure to learn if to decide and conclude, like what we just did a while ago, and to conclude appropriately. You will also need to be able to calculate central tendencies, specifically the mean for grouped data. Not the median, neither the mode, only the mean for group data, not for raw, for group data. And to learn how to do that, go to worksheet B, number 11 and 14. You need to know to calculate measures of dispersions. There are several measures of dispersion, but for this evaluation, you'll be tested only on the sample variance and the sample standard deviation. And to practice that, you go to number 11, worksheet B, number 11 and 14. And you will need to learn how to calculate measures of correlation. There are two of them, Spearman's and Pearson's. But in the evaluation, you'll be only evaluated on Pearson's. And to practice Pearson's, you go to worksheet B, number 12 and 13. And by the way, number 13 and 14 are very important questions because they will copy and paste it from past papers. So their structure will be very identical to what you expect in evaluation B. So please practice 13 and 14 for sure, okay? And you can do for starting with number 11. You don't really have to practice number 10 because number 10 is for raw data. You will not be evaluated on raw data. So focus on the guideline. As you can see, there are very much enough sufficient guide to prepare you for evaluation B. Or graduate gradient and y-intercept of a linear model, number 12 and 13. So you need to practice number 11, 12, 13, and 14 for sure. And for definitions, check out the first set of definitions that you need to know. Focus on these, what is there, descriptive measures, parameters, and statistics. Okay? And just complete worksheet B with the guide of this guideline to lead you to prepare you sufficiently for evaluation B, which will be scheduled for the 23rd and the 24th. The 23rd is a Monday, is a Wednesday. So it's the 23rd and the 24th for the Tuesday, Thursday group. And this will be not next week. This will be week after next, the week of the Creole week, I think, because Friday is Creole Day and so forth. Okay? And then when we return now, we'll continue. So Monday, we will initiate worksheet C. So please use this guideline to prepare you for test B.